So about a year ago, I did a video on emails and cases in Salesforce and Lightning Experience. And so 17th of August. So yeah, just over a year ago. So in that video, I really just got so frustrated that I just couldn't get these emails and cases working the way I needed to. Now there's been a long delay with this project, and so I have come back to this project now to try and work it out. And it's been, because even in all this delay, it's been frustrating me of trying to work out how to get this done properly. So really the only way is to use code. And I've been so reluctant to do code, but just in the COVID times I've sort of really bitten the bullet and learnt more about code. So we can, since summer 18, a long time ago, we can use this code to set the default email field values in Lightning Experience. And for me, when I looked at this initially, this code looked just, too hard to understand. Why has it got quick actions? And then this is the documentation, and this code just looks like, wow, just don't even understand. It's just, I don't know about it's just this formatting. I think that just so dense, so difficult to understand. Then one of my fellow MVPs sort of, said, no, that's the only way of doing it. You've got to do code. So, and this is what this document that I've referred to in the previous video talks about. If I don't do code, I showed in the previous video that this predefined actions just does not work. It just doesn't work, right? So, having this quick action defaults handler interface is the only way to get this working. Okay, so doing lots of research and getting trying to get the most simplest version. I really like this one. This is by Doug Ayres, and it's a gist. And I'll put a note in my wiki page about this. I'll put a link to it, and I think this is just a little bit easier to understand. So really all this one is doing is choosing the right template. And so that was a starting point. But then I realized, what actually is the decisions that what is my problem with emails? What do I need to actually do with emails? And how do I need to get over these problems? So the main problem with emails in cases is that let's just send an email to the case and have a look. So I've got my email in my sandbox, my email to case email address, and I'm just doing an email to the case. So here is my email to case. So the really main problem that I have with cases in cases in Salesforce is that they've got this one fixed idea about how you deal with cases. You have a very simple structure of your detail page, and then all you do is reply to an email. If someone sends you an email to the case, you click, have a look at that email. You then reply to that email. You then keep replying forward and backwards, and then you close the case. Right? If you don't have a case set up like that, then you're going to have all sorts of problems. And this is trying to overcome all of those problems. So I've got very strict, requirements from my client. One of the requirements is a case, their personal name should never be used. The case always must come from the case email. The organizational email, and they must use their templates. They must not use just freeform emails. And they have to also send emails to third parties, including the attachments that are on that case or previously sent in via the contact. I had to do a decision tree. So here's my decision tree. So every single type of email. So I've got an email to the client. I want to reply to an existing email. I want to forward an existing email, and I want to send an email to a third party. They're my scenarios of when I want to do emails. I've also got the differentiation between admin staff and managers sending it. This is the requirement, is that they do not want to have the name of the person if it's just a regular admin staff, but sometimes managers can have their name displayed on an email. So there's just the different scenarios with the name, what comes in the signature. And in all cases, I only ever want to send it to the primary contact email for the client. And when I send it to a third party, there's a specific third party that I want to be able to send it to. Okay, so in all cases, the from address is the company email address, and in all cases the template is going to be blank. I'm not going to delve into templates too much on this case and this situation, because I'm going to suggest that I use quick text, but I'll show you that you can change the templates anyway. So I've got my blank template, and then I've got a third party blank template, and just some details around this is what the subject should be, whether I include the body or not. Okay, so I'll show you that, and whether the ref is included on the subject and the body. That's for emails coming back into Salesforce, and what we want to do with any attachments. Okay, so when we're replying, when we're forwarding, we want to forward the attachments that are on the email, but when we are creating a brand new email, we don't want any attachments on it unless they want to add them themselves. So just even get to this point of what are their requirements, because it's very strict. But I think unless you've got that simple scenario of that you're going to solve cases by emailing back and forward to the same person, I think you're going to need to want to do something along these lines anyway. Okay, and even though I've done this and I've set this up now and I'm pretty happy with it, there's still things that my clients are just not going to and we'll go through those too. Okay, so just a couple of things about this case layout. I've got half and half because my details page is not going to be this small. You saw in my other video how long my details page gets, so I really want a whole lot of space on the page dedicated to the details, because that will get, as we go through the statuses of the case, that gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Okay, so I've got which people are related, because there's a lot of different people, as I said, third parties that are related. I've just simplified that, all that people stuff down into this third party field here. I've got my files. I've got some history of all of the different history of the case and other fields that have got history in them. I've got some system fields. So I've really separated out my tabs. And over here, I've got my feed. I've got my email history, which is really important. And I've got just my regular activity. Okay, so, and I've got some key details over there, which is just when the whole page gets so big, it just provides some key details. So I have got, so I've set up the feed also, and this is a feed layout, which is set up in Classic as a feed layout, which gives us the feed filters. Now again, we've got these tabs over here, we've got these tabs over here, we've got these tabs here, and we've got these tabs here. This is the most ridiculous way of doing feed filters, but it does the job. If I want to just see text posts, if I make a post in my Chatter post, if you're not using Chatter, you've got to tell me why, and I'll tell you why to use Chatter. Okay, so that's all updates, text posts, and if I change my status, my all updates shows the statuses, but then I can filter it just by but it's just to show emails or just to show logger calls. Okay, so here's a call log. So there's call logs, emails, text posts, or all updates, because the all updates can get a bit overwhelming. Okay, and the other feature here is the collapsed or expanded post feed, and that's really useful also, but sometimes it can be a bit overwhelming, so to be able to have the collapsed feed is quite good. Okay, so as we know, cases are a bit shitty that we've only got buttons that appear here, so I'm trying to limit the number of buttons that is here. Usually we'll have a closed case button here, but probably I'm going to do that via a flow, which I've got basically the next actions that need to happen will be a flow that sort of appears in this location. And you might be wondering what this lovely sort of component is here, and that is my component that I have built. So this is the indicators lightning web component that you can get from my GitHub page, and it's got all of the details here about how it all works. So I've just got it working on this case, and so this is a particular type, and it requires a subscription. These people require a subscription to get their cases dealt with, and it's open. So so it's got all of the, and these change as we go through, and as things change there might be some alerts that pop up there, and it just gives us details at a glance. We can see at a glance we're working on it, that it's got an issue, it's got a red thing, it's got an issue, they need a subscription, and we can, you know, just see at a glance what's going on there. Okay, so going back to my decision tree, I need to be able to, first of all, let's just recap what the standard functionality is. So the standard functionality is that we've had this email here. If we have a look at the emails here, we have this email coming in. Okay, if I just hit reply, which is this base button is basically standard, except it's it's got my default email address, it's going to the person, it's got a reply to this is, but it's the existing subject, it's got my blank email template, and it's got the body. Okay, so this is, even though it's got some overrides, this is what Salesforce is expecting you to do, to have, is just, you know, basically just to continue replying back to this person, and they don't even want you to have an email template. They just want you to just, you know, reply back with straight emails. Now, whether you have an email template or not, it's up to you. Okay, I've made this looking like an ugly email template. Whether you have logos and things like that, that's up to you and your business. Okay, so this client is very structured, very, you know, want to have very precise email communications. So yes, I've set up a email template, and this is the enhanced email enhanced letterhead, where I've just got a logo in the top and a footer with their company information at the bottom, and then I've got the blank email template, which because I'm using code, I can use Lightning email templates. Now, remembering that in my previous video, I've said that you can't use Lightning email templates if you're using the overrides in the quick actions and setting the defaults in the quick actions. You can't use Lightning email templates there, but you can use Lightning email templates if you're using code. Okay, so I've got this email body. So I've got some some subject of your case. I've got my email body, and I've got this custom field here for the email signature. So remember, I've got my footer with all of my company details below, but my last thing is the sender email signature. So that is a formula field that says if this person is a manager, if this user, so formula field on the user, and it says if this user is a manager, then show their name and their title. Otherwise, if they're just a regular admin person, then show their just their title. Okay, so this is the whole idea around that. They do not want personal names on their emails. Okay, So if I want to just reply to this email with this button set up, it's got the original message, and I can and it's got the simple body, the simple email, blank email, which I've called a blank email. It's just got the standard features in there, and then I've got this email body, and I've got some quick text that I can use. And I've got some quick text here. I can just do and insert some quick text. So I think quick text is a really nice way of doing it. It's a nice, easy way that they can set up their default. And quick text can have merge fields in it also. Okay. And remember that you've got your preview email button here. You can preview your email. And so this is just an email. See, it's Jodie M email address. So what we'll do is, before we go much further, we'll put in an individual. We'll do John Smith, okay, and save that. So normally the case goes through a triage process and gets an organisation name and individual name created after the details come in from the email. But see, if I reply, it's going to this email address. Now just watch that one, and we'll come back to that one to see how that affects it. So see, this is just going straight to an email address, and so we can try that. Quick text again. And we can, preview our email, dear John Smith, okay? And I don't know why this is. I've saw this before also. Oh, this only happens in the preview. See this big gap here? That only happens in the preview. It comes through quite nicely when I send the email. That's a bit strange. Okay, so let's just send this email. And the emails come through, and of course it doesn't like that it's come through from the same person it's sending to. But you can see here, here's my body, is my regards. I'm a manager, so it gets my name and title, and you can see that there's no gap there. Okay, I don't know why this has not got this image here showing, but the email comes out. Okay, so before we get on to the next step, which is talking about email to client, I'll just add some files on here. And the reason I like the sort of files component on this page is that we can drag and drop. So if I get some pictures of some pretty kittens, and I do drag and drop onto there, it will upload those files there. So that's pretty cool. And of course the files can come in from the email, and of course we can email the files out. Okay, so but the most thing that this client does is that they send emails to their client, sending straight out to their client. So a lot of the times their cases will not come in via email, they'll come in via their web site. So of course apart from the initial, we've received your email, your submission from the website, the very first thing that they're going to do is email the client and say, hey, here is your next steps. So I've got this one here called email to client. And so what this does is it only goes to that individual. See, previously we had an email address there because the email had come in and we were replying to it. So it had an email address. But this, it has that to the person, the client's person. So there's no way we can get this wrong unless they physically go and change it, that it's only going to go to the person that is related to this case. And this is my organizational wide address, and we've got that subject, case subject, and then we've got our blank email template as per normal. And you can see here down the bottom, we've got no body. Okay, if you look at my last email, we've got this issue in that just doing the overrides on the email, on the quick action, still keeps the body there. Okay, so this is really important that with code we can remove the body. So because this is, it's like don't care that it was ever an email on this case. I don't want that email thread to be there. Okay, so this is, and what we can do here is we can attach files if we want. So we've got to go down to related files and choose our files that we want to attach. And again, we can do our email body. We can just type our email in there. We can be, nice, do our personal thing for the contact, or we can do our quick text. And again, we'll have a library of different quick texts. And we've got the case subject. So that's cool. So we're basically going only to this person. And if we hover over this email address, that's going to my test emailer. Okay, so I can send that. And this has got this, files will be sent as links. Silly thing that Lightning does. Okay, so we're here on our filtered feed. Remember, we can see our previous email here. And now that we've got a few emails, we can see what this feed looks like. And so we can sort of filter that we can collapse that or not. We can go to our email history. We can see the full email history there. And we can go to activity and we can see the activity there. Okay, don't click on this activity. I don't know why this is. This is why I put the email history there as a tab, because this takes us to the task. So even though we have enhanced email turned on, and this is an email that's sent via enhanced email, this activity takes the takes it to task. I'm not even sure that activity is even required on cases. However, you've still got the upcoming and overdue that you might want to have tasks set. And in this case, we do have tasks that are set. So I think that having this email history list here is really good, and you can view it all and you can see all of the details and you can open it up. Now, in my previous email, I showed you this email page, and I said I would really love to be able to just, modify this, and how I would modify this because it's a bit overwhelming, too many different fonts, a bit ugly. You cannot edit this page. This is a Lightning page that is just not editable, which is so annoying. There is an idea in the idea exchange for it. Go and vote for it, please. Okay, so we've got the feed. So that's the email to client button. Okay, and then the next thing is the third party email. So we've done the reply and we've done the third party email. So let's just choose our third party. And again, this is not the way this happens, but it is. It's just I've simplified the process there. Okay, so the ruling is there's only ever one third party at a time we send to. We might send to different third parties during the course of the case, but this is the third party we want to send to. So what happens is, if you've previously sent just to an email address, remember I said there's a difference between sending it to an ID or to an email address. If there's a thread in here that we've previously sent it to an email address and I don't cater for that, it's going to continue to put that email address in, even though it's put the third party email address in there also. Okay, so imagine that you're trying to send this case detail to a third party with confidential information about this third party, about this person that's put this case in to a third party, and you accidentally email the person back also. So that is what having the default settings in Salesforce can do, right? So we absolutely need to ensure that this doesn't happen. Okay, so I'll just change the code back and we'll have a look how it actually now works. So now when I click third party email, it's only going to go to that third party. Okay, and it's from my person, and therefore here it's a case for this client. The client name the case subject, the email body, and this is a much simpler email. So again, they can use their quick text in here also. And then, and it's got none of the thread. So again, there is absolutely no reason for the thread of the email to go to this person, this third-party person. There should only ever be a brand new email to them. Okay, so that is the crux of the issue. Okay, so we want to have an email to the client, which is brand new email, no thread, standard template. We want to be able to reply if there is a reason to reply, and we want to be able to send emails to the third party. So all of that works, and I will go through the code in a bit, but just in trying a few different things in the last half an hour or so, I found that there is some massive issues with this, and I'm at the point where I'm going to have to try to see what my client thinks about it. If not, we might have to, I don't know. I don't know the answer. Okay. So here, this reply button here, I have tried to keep that as close as possible to the standard functionality, but still only coming from the one email address. And only it's still going, like if that was previous like email, it's going back to that email. So this is just allowing for any other scenario. There's always edge cases, right? So this is not the email address of John Smith, but it's the email address that was most recently replied to. And here, this is the regarding, and it's got the thread on here. Okay, so just wanted to check. I sent an email to a third party, and I thought, well, wonder what happens if I reply to that email that I'd sent to because the last email is sent to the third party. So even though it was sent out and we're doing a reply, it doesn't make any sense to me. But I was wondering if there's going to be any in the thread, if there's going to be any issue where a third-party email could be captured in the thread of a email to the client, or vice versa, and it doesn't look like it. So this is good. So this is reply. This is reply to the third party. Of course, you could easily change that to the client and do that, but that's an unintended issue. And so this is just So it should tell you based on who you're sending to. Who you most recently sent to or replied to. So that should be okay. I do probably need to let them know that, and let them know that they really need to test this thoroughly before we make this live. Okay, so getting back to our emails. So we'll go to our email history, and I've got a bit more email history now. So we can open up any email, and this is the third party email. And we've got these reply all, and forward buttons here. Now, remembering that we cannot change this page layout at all. I cannot stop users from using these buttons. So these buttons also have to work. And then these buttons really should work exactly the way you expect email to work. I may be manipulating it on the case to work the way we want general emails to work, but if you're going to come in here and actually hit reply or forward, you want it to actually work the way emails work. So this is really important here. So so that's going to third party. It's got the thread. Okay. Reply is the same. And we can bring these all open at the same time. And then forward, it's got the whoever, you can put the to address in there, but I still wanted the from address to be correct, and I still wanted to control they've got the re and the forward there. I still wanted to control the template, and I still wanted to control a few things, including the attachments. The attachments, if there's attachments on the email, that will forward if it's on the forward. Okay, so that is pretty cool. So we've got those buttons there also. But what I found is, and I just don't know that you can do anything about this, there's a handy dandy little reply and reply forward button here. Okay. But if I reply, it's got all of my buttons there. So I've got to go reply and then reply. And that doesn't seem, and that then brings the reply up there, which again doesn't even seem right. But so I can go reply and go email to client, right? And that doesn't seem right at all. Okay, and I can go reply all and go third party email. Okay, so in Classic, we had this thing that you had this rule that you did not touch the top button because you had to touch the bottom button to do emails, and it was such a pain in the ass. And now I'm going to have the same thing again because I can't hide these things at all from here. Okay, and then when it's in the collapse mode, it's even worse because it does this. Reply, email to client, reply all, email forward. I just don't think that there is any way that I can deal with this. So it's like we're 99% there, and I'm not sure whether that 1% is going to be a deal breaker or not. All right. So let's just switch bits and see about the code. Now, just while we're here, we can see that these are got some extra icons here. So again, depending on the type of the case it is and the stage it's at, some extra icons will appear there. So let's have a look at the code. And it looks a little complicated, but now that we understand how it's meant to work, we can check it out. So let's just quickly, this bit here that just takes the developer name of the email template and gives you back the email ID, the template ID. Okay, so it's just to help you you don't do hard-coded IDs in your code. Okay, this bit here is the bit that sort of sets up our different settings, the defaults on the email, and this bit here is the bit that turns the quick action, that sets up the quick action. Now this bit here is a little complex and it's probably not needed, but I found this code from someone else online and I thought, oh, that's actually handy, and it has been handy because what it does is that if I don't actually specify which button is covered by this code, then the absolute standard functionality will work. So just in case I needed standard functionality on any button, then I can just ignore it from here and it will work as standard. Okay, so this is just saying only apply this code to these named buttons. Okay, so you can see here, this is the email message reply, email message forward, email message reply all. Okay, and this is our three buttons that are set on the case. So let's have a look at that. Buttons, links and actions, third party email. It's just a stock standard thing. It's just got the standard fields there, and it's got no defaults, because as we saw, there's defaults for some predefined values that just don't seem to work. Okay, so there's our buttons. So this is the name, third party email, and we've got three of those buttons. So that's the case third party email, the action name. Okay, and so all of this is pretty boilerplate. You can just copy and paste it from someone else's code and get to this point. So basically this is handling the quick action, and then this is where we set the defaults. Now this could be bad code, please ignore me, but it does work, and I've really sort of set it out in a what I find is a logical way so that I can maintain it later. And this was just comments from the code that I took it off. Let me find that so I can show you the post that I took that off. So this is the post from Miroslav, and it was really good. Just again, really nicely laid out, and it really, really, really helped me understand how this piece of code works. Okay, so yeah, so really highly recommend. I'll put a link to that one in there also. Okay, so this is where we do the logic. So if we're doing a reply, if we're doing a forward, or if it's a third party, then do this. Otherwise, this is the default new email to the case contacts only. Okay, so in every single case, I've got the validated from addresses being. Now, the validated from address either comes from your organizational wide email addresses, the default case or the email to case email addresses, or your own email address. They're the three types of validated from addresses it can have. Of course, this is going to be an organizational wide address. I've just set this up for this testing at the moment. Okay, and again, I've set it up in each one, so I can. And at the moment, it's going to be the same, but it might be that it comes that the managers have a different from address, etc. At the moment, because it's all the way it's set up, the emails, it helps the emails come back into Salesforce with the ref ID and attached to the cases. So that's why it's important to have it coming from the organizational wide email address. I found my post about that set up. Let me get that. So this is my post that I did back in 2016, and this still applies. This is still the rules. How you set up email to case to work properly with the different email addresses and how you forward it and all that sort of stuff. So that's a really good thing to come back to if you need that. Okay, so and then we've got this bit here, and it took me a real long while to work it out because it's not intuitive to me, because it's got set ignore template body and set ignore template subject. So it just took a lot of working out, trial and error there. So the test ignore template subject equals false. So let's have a look at the reply. Test ignores template subject true means keep the existing subject. Okay. Test ignore template subject false is use the subject on the template. Okay. So when I'm sending out emails, I am sending out the emails with the template, the subject from the template. So that's false. When I'm replying to an email, I'm forwarding an email, I want the existing subject, because that's the way you expect emails to work. So I'm ignoring the template's subject. Set insert template body. In all cases, I want to put my template body in the email. Okay, so for my reply, the only thing I'm doing is setting the template ID, putting the inserting the template, allowing any subject, and ensuring it comes from the right address. So that's the most simplest occurrence. Now let's have a look at this where this ID comes from. So on our blank email template, so this is a Lightning email template. So of course you can do a SQL query to get that, but this is the Salesforce inspector, and we go to developer name and we get that ID there, copy that ID and grab that and put it in our class. Okay. Again, I'm not particularly sure that that's going to deploy correctly. You might need to do it another way, but right at the moment, that's the way I've got it done. Okay. Okay, so forward is very similar. Again, I've left it. It is exactly the same, but I've left it separate codes so that I can, if I need to, change the forward than the reply at a later date. Because I could have done reply or forward, right, in here. And then I've got third party. So this that gets a bit complicated. So this is, remember, we've got the to address and the to IDs. So this is a bit of code that I changed. This is important. If I had that commented out, then that's where the rogue email address could get into the to, and we do not want that. So we need to set the to address to be empty, and then set the to IDs. Okay, this took me so long to work out. This is why this is the reason why I wanted to do this video, because this is A, not documented correctly, not documented at all, and B, just took me so long to work it out. So let's have a look at the email message developer reference. We always go to the developer documents. It's always correct, isn't it? I don't know. Is this just something as a coder that you're meant to know these things? So let's go down to PQRS to ID. It's even highlighted. Now, again, the sample code here is not just related to using enhanced email and logging enhanced email via code, right? So it's not relevant to what we're doing at the moment. So, and we've got in the quick action defaults, we've got all of this stuff where it's got a reference to email message, but it's sort of so hidden in there, it's like hard to find. Okay. But again, these are the fields. So when we get this to address, the validated from address, the text body, the subject, the etc., a lot of these work. But see how this says to ID? Now, this is where it's got this junction ID list, which we talked about in the previous video. And sort of like, even reading this, I don't quite understand this email message relation record. I knew I didn't need to do anything like that because I'm just trying to send it to someone, right? But it says here to ID, to address. But the thing that works is to IDs with an S on the end. Okay, that's just bizarre. Okay, so basically we've got to build up this list, this array of IDs that are going to be sent to, so we can have an array. And in this case, for my contact, I've got two. Again, I simplified my cases. In the real world, I've got two different potential contacts that could be for the client. So I've got that array that I'm setting up there. Okay, so here I'm just setting up an array for the third party email. So let's go back to our case. So this is our third party. Okay, and I'm just setting up an array of just that ID. Okay, so that's that. And so this is where I'm querying the case with the data from the case that I need. And so then I've got the third party template, and putting that in. So I've got the two on the, this is where I'm setting the defaults on the email. The two IDs, this array of the third party IDs. The to address, do not put any rogue email addresses in there. The validated from address is correct. And this is where the HTML body equals blank is do not include the thread. Okay, so we're just putting the template in and not including the thread. Okay, and then this is everything else, which is, in this case, is going to be only the new email. But this is the most common scenario. In the most common scenario, I do not want them to do replies. So this is why I put it down as the last. Just in case I put any other unusual bits of code in there, this is always going to be the most used one. Again, I've got my string array of two IDs. I've got my template. I've got my do not put any rogue email addresses in there. My validated from address and my HTML body. Again, these two are very similar, just a different, gets the IDs differently. So that's actually all there is to the code. Okay, one extra step, again, you do this by Googling, is you need to set this up on email to case settings. No, not email to case. No, there's always 10 ways of doing this. 10 places you've got to go to do things here. So it's support settings. Okay, you've got to come here and you've got to put this Apex class name in here. Okay, so you come down here and enable default email templates or the default handler for email action. And there's the Apex class name for that. Okay, and this is this new feature for email drafts for Lightning that you can do now. All right, so, and then there's one extra thing that is weird that I wanted to show you about. Okay, it's templates. So I want to do an email to client. I remember I said that most of the time I think we'll use quick text because I really like quick text, but you might want to actually do a different template. So this is the blank template. If I want to do an insert that third party email template, see, it's like got two logos in it now. So it's got there that logo, email body, and then it's got that logo there. Just don't think that logo even belongs there. Okay, so let's clear that all out. Do insert a template blank. Maybe it's where you put the cursor, inserts where you, let's put a cursor, really bizarre. Insert a template, third party. Yeah, so it does, it inserts it right there. That's even worse than I thought. That is bizarre. All right, so I had this thing, yeah, this was happening. So I think you just have to Control A, delete, then insert a template. Like when you do it normally, it tells you it's going to overwrite the existing template. So I don't know whether there's something to do with settings or something, but that's again going to be one of those things you're going to have to tell people, just deal with this. You know, again, that's so frustrating. So I'm going to leave it there, but it is 99% there. I don't know. We'll see. We'll wait and see.